All right, welcome back, everyone. We're jumping into part 4 of this deep dive into zero waste and circular economies.
It's great to be back.
Remember, we started with those big, big picture ideas,
Yeah.
explored some like real world successes,
Mm-hmm.
but now it's time to figure out how to put all this into action.
Yeah.
Right.
It's exciting to move from like the theory to the doing, isn't it?
It is.
It is really
We've
fun.
kind of laid the groundwork,
Yeah.
and now we can see how these concepts can become actual, changes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's kind of like having all the ingredients for this amazing dish.
Yeah.
But now we got to figure out the recipe, right?
Yeah.
So today's deep dive is all about that recipe.
I like that.
Taking those concepts
Yeah.
and actually, turning them into steps.
Like actionable steps. It's about empowering you guys, the listeners,
Yeah.
to become
Yes.
active participants in this like shift
Yeah.
towards a more sustainable future, right? I
Right.
love that. I love that. So we've got three main areas we're going to explore today. First, we'll delve into practical tips for individuals and households
Okay.
to kickstart their zero waste journey.
Yeah.
Then we'll shift gears.
Yeah.
We'll examine how businesses can use those circular economy principles,
Right.
in their everyday operations.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, we'll explore the power of collaboration, collaborative efforts, and networking.
Yeah, it's a holistic approach, right?
Yeah.
It's recognizing that we need, action at all levels,
Yes.
whether it's individuals, organizations, systems, to really make a difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's start with that first step.
Okay.
That first step towards zero waste living. I'll be honest. Sometimes the whole concept feels a little overwhelming. Like, where do you even begin?
Right.
Right.
That's a common feeling.
Yeah.
It is. It is. But the beauty of this whole zero waste journey is that, it's not about reaching some unattainable like 0 point overnight, right?
Right.
It's about progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
And one of the sources we have actually offers a great starting point.
Yeah.
And it's something you can do right now. It's called a personal waste audit.
Okay. A waste audit. It sounds a little official.
Uh-huh.
A little official.
Yeah.
Like something a company would do, but
It might sound that way, but it's really simple.
okay.
It's about observing your waste habits for a week or two. You literally just keep track of what you're throwing away,
Yeah.
And it gives you a really clear picture of where your waste is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps you identify those like really easy areas to change,
Okay.
right? The like low-hanging fruit. You know what I mean?
I see. So it's about becoming more like aware of our habits.
Exactly. Most of us are on like autopilot when it comes to waste. We just, we toss things without thinking about it.
Yeah.
And a waste audit forces us to really confront that, and make those conscious choices.
I see. It's like shining a light on those habits, those unconscious habits that we usually don't even notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once you have that awareness, you can start making, small changes, but impactful changes.
Yeah.
And the sources that we have are full of practical tips for reducing waste in like everyday life.
Okay, let's hear some of those tips. What are some easy things that people can change right away?
Well, one of the simplest things you can do is switch to reusable alternatives for common disposable items.
Okay.
Think reusable water bottles, coffee cups, shopping bags, food containers,
Oh yeah.
even straws.
Yeah, those are classics, right?
They are, and they make a big difference.
They do.
Another area where people can make a big impact is in the kitchen.
Okay. Yeah.
Food waste is a huge problem, and there's so many simple things we can do to reduce it.
Yes. I'm always surprised by how much food I throw out. What are some strategies for tackling that?
Meal planning is a game changer.
Okay.
It sounds basic, but it helps you avoid, those impulse buys.
Yeah.
And ensures you're using what you buy.
Right.
Another tip is to get, creative with those leftovers. You can turn them into new dishes.
Oh yeah.
Or freeze them for later.
Oh, leftover make overnight.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun and reduces waste.
Yes, I love it.
And speaking of food, composting is another fantastic way.
Oh yeah, composting.
Yeah.
I admit I've always been a little intimidated by it. Is it really something that anyone can do?
Absolutely it is.
Okay.
And it's easier than you might think.
Okay.
You don't need a huge backyard or anything like that.
Right, right.
You know, there's lots of compact composting systems for apartments
Mhm.
and smaller spaces.
Oh.
There are even worm composting systems which can be done indoors.
Wow, I didn't know that. I might have to try that.
Yeah, I encourage you to.
Okay.
It's a wonderful way to connect with the natural cycle of life
Yeah.
and reduce your, your environmental impact.
I like it.
And speaking of connection, I think it's important to highlight that adopting this zero waste lifestyle is not just about practical tips, it's also about, cultivating a certain mindset.
Ooh, tell me more about that. What does a zero waste mindset look like?
Well, at its core, it's about shifting our perspective from this consumerist mindset where
Mhm.
we're constantly bombarded with messages to buy more stuff
Right.
to a more mindful, intentional way of living, right?
Yeah.
It's about asking ourselves, before we buy something, do I really need this? Can I borrow it instead? Could I get it secondhand?
Right, right. It's about being more conscious of the impact our choices have. Right?
Exactly. And it's about valuing experiences over possessions, and recognizing that true happiness doesn't come from just accumulating more things.
I like that. So
Yeah.
it's about slowing down, being more deliberate,
Mm.
and appreciating what we already have.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that resonates with me. That resonates with me.
I think it resonates with a lot of people. In a world that's constantly pushing us to consume more,
Yeah.
the zero waste lifestyle offers like a refreshing alternative. It's
Mhm.
about simplifying our lives,
Yeah.
focusing on, what truly matters and creating a more sustainable and fulfilling way of being.
I love that. It's not just about reducing waste.
Right.
It's about creating a more meaningful and fulfilling life. Okay, so we talked about individuals. Let's shift gears now and talk about how businesses are using these circular economy ideas, incorporating them
Mm-hmm.
into their operations. What are some of the key ways companies are making this shift?
Well, the sources we have highlight some really, really interesting approaches.
Okay.
And one of the most fundamental shifts is in the way that companies design their products.
Mm.
Instead of designing for, obsolescence, where products are designed to break down or become outdated quickly,
Right.
they're starting to design for durability, repair, and recyclability.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Creating products that are built to last,
Yeah, yeah.
that can be easily, repaired or repurposed at the end of their life.
Exactly. And there are some really cool examples out there. Modular electronics, imagine a laptop where you can easily swap out components instead of replacing the whole device. You can, constantly upgrade it and keep it running for years and years.
Wow, that's a game changer.
It is.
Yeah, I can see how that would really, reduce e-waste. What other examples did you come across?
Another approach that's gaining traction is the product as a service model.
Okay.
It's a really interesting concept where you're not actually buying a product, you're essentially paying for its function.
Okay, I need an example. That one's a bit abstract.
Yeah. So imagine instead of buying a washing machine, you pay a monthly fee
Okay.
for a laundry service. The company provides the service.
Uh-huh.
They own and maintain the machines, making sure they're, energy efficient, repaired properly.
Right.
And at the end of the lifespan, they take them back for, recycling or refurbishment.
That's fascinating. It totally changes our relationship with ownership.
It does. And it incentivizes companies to design those durable,
Yeah,
repairable products because they're the ones responsible for maintaining them.
I see.
Another example is Philips. They have lighting as a service. You don't buy light bulbs, you pay for the light itself.
Okay.
They remain responsible for, maintaining those light bulbs and eventually recycling them.
I see. So it's about shifting from selling products to selling services.
Exactly.
And it aligns the incentives, right?
Mm.
So that both the company and the customer, benefit from longer lasting, more sustainable products.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's really clever.
It is. And then, of course, there's the whole concept of circular supply chains.
Yes, circular supply chains. That one always sounds a bit intimidating. Can you break it down for
Yeah.
us?
Essentially, it's about moving away from the traditional linear supply chain
Okay.
where resources are extracted, turned into products used, and then, discarded.
Right.
And moving toward a more circular model
Right.
where materials are kept in use for for as long as possible.
Okay.
Right.
So it's about closing the loop, right? Making
Mhm.
sure that what was once considered waste
Yeah.
is now, a resource that can be used again.
Exactly. Companies are finding creative ways to, incorporate recycled materials into their products,
Uh-huh.
partner with other companies to use each other's waste streams, and even design products that can be easily disassembled and remanufactured at the end of their life.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
It sounds like it requires a lot of like collaboration
Yeah.
and
It
innovation.
does, and that's
Yeah.
what makes it so exciting.
Yeah.
Companies are realizing that sustainability is not just about being less bad.
Yeah.
It's about finding these new ways to create value and unlock economic opportunities
Right.
while also, protecting the planet.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all fits together.
Yeah.
It's about
Yeah.
individuals making conscious choices, businesses adopting these circular models, and everyone working together
hmm
create a more sustainable future.
Yeah, you got it. It's a systemic shift, and every action, no matter how small,
Yeah.
contributes to that larger vision.
I love that. So before we move on to the next section, we're going to really delve into those specific examples of, businesses doing this and explore, really explore collaboration. Is there anything else from the sources about how individuals can really make a difference? What really stood out to you?
Well, one thing that really resonated with me is this idea that our everyday choices, they have this ripple effect.
Mm.
It's easy to feel like our individual actions don't really matter,
Oh.
but the truth is that every purchase we make, every product we use, every piece of trash we generate
Yeah.
is a vote
Yeah.
for the kind of world we want to live in.
That's a powerful way to think about it. We're voting with our, our wallets, our habits every day.
Exactly. And those votes send signals, to those businesses and policymakers
Right.
that influence the kind of products that are produced, the policies that are enacted.
Right. So it's about recognizing that we have power as consumers, power as citizens, and we can use that power to drive positive change.
Yeah.
I love that message of empowerment.
Yeah, me too. It's about reclaiming our agency and realizing that we're not just passive consumers,
Right, right.
We're active participants in shaping the future.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired. Let's take a moment.
Mm.
Let's take a moment to let that sink in.
Yeah.
And then we'll delve into that next layer
Okay.
of this journey toward a circular future.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
Right. All right. Let's jump into some concrete examples of businesses that are really embracing this circular approach. One of the sources profiles Interface, a global flooring company
Okay.
that's really leading the charge here.
I've heard of Interface.
Yeah.
They make those cool like modular carpet tiles, right?
Yeah. They do.
But what makes them a poster child for the circular economy?
Well, they've set this incredibly ambitious goal, right?
Yeah.
To become a fully restorative enterprise, which means they want to have a net positive impact on the environment, not just, reducing their harm,
Right.
but actually leaving things better than they found them.
Wow, that's a bold vision.
Mm.
How are they putting that into practice?
So they're tackling it from multiple angles. They use a lot of recycled and bio-based materials in their products. They design their carpets for easy disassembly and recycling.
Okay.
And they even have this program called Networks,
Okay.
where they collect discarded fishing nets from coastal communities
Wait.
and turn them into recycled nylon for their carpets.
It's amazing how they're like finding value in things that were once considered waste.
Yeah,
That Networks program, that sounds particularly innovative.
it is. It
Yeah.
is. And they don't stop there.
Yeah.
Interface is also working with its suppliers
Oh, okay.
to make sure they're using sustainable practices and renewable energy sources. It's about creating a truly circular supply chain from, sourcing the materials to end-of-life management.
So it's not just about what's happening within their own company.
Right.
It's about influencing the entire system.
Right. They recognize that to create real change, they need to work collaboratively across their whole value chain.
Yeah. Speaking of inspiring companies, another one that came up in the research was Patagonia, the outdoor clothing company.
Oh, yeah.
They're known for their, commitment to the environment and social responsibility.
Right.
But how are they specifically embracing circularity?
Well, Patagonia has several initiatives, but one of the most well-known is their Worn Wear program.
Okay.
And they actively encourage customers to, repair and reuse their Patagonia gear
Right.
instead of discarding it. They have repair centers around the world. They offer online repair tutorials,
Wow.
and they even sell used Patagonia clothing through their Worn Wear website.
I love that. It's like they're saying, we believe in our products so much that we want them to last as long as possible.
Exactly. They understand that true sustainability requires a shift in mindset.
Yeah.
It's not about constantly buying new things.
Right.
It's about, valuing what we have and keeping those products in use for as long as possible.
And they're putting their money where your mouth is, right? They're providing the resources and infrastructure to make that happen.
They are. Patagonia is also experimenting with new business models like clothing rental programs
Right.
to further reduce their environmental impact.
That's fascinating. It seems like they're constantly, pushing those boundaries, challenging those conventional ideas of how a business should operate.
They are. They're a great example of how a company can be, both profitable and purpose-driven.
It's inspiring to see companies like Interface and Patagonia, leading the way. But I'm wondering about smaller businesses. What if you're not a giant corporation with tons of resources?
Right.
Is it still possible to embrace circularity?
Absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
The beauty of the circular economy is that it can be applied at any scale.
Okay.
In fact, the sources we have actually emphasize that small and medium-sized businesses, they often have an advantage because they're more agile
Yeah,
and can adapt more quickly to these new models.
that makes sense. So where can a smaller business start, if they want to integrate those circular principles?
Well, the first step is to really understand the concept of circularity
Okay.
and how it applies to their specific business.
Right.
There are tons of resources available online.
Okay.
And through organizations like the Ellen MacArthur Foundation,
Right.
which has developed, tools and guides specifically for businesses.
Okay, so do your research, get educated, and then start brainstorming.
Exactly. It was about asking those questions like, can we source more sustainable materials? Can we redesign our products to be more durable or repairable? Can we offer repair services or take back programs? Can we partner with other businesses to, create those closed loop systems?
It sounds like it requires a lot of creative thinking
It does.
and a willingness to challenge the status quo.
It does, but it's also an incredibly exciting opportunity
Yeah.
to innovate, to create new value.
Yeah.
And it's not just good for the planet, it's good for business.
How so?
Well, circular businesses, they tend to be more resilient, more efficient, more innovative. They often save money on materials,
Right.
waste disposal. They attract customers who value sustainability, and they even gain a competitive advantage by being ahead of the curve.
So it's a win-win
It is.
for both the planet and the bottom line.
Exactly. It's becoming increasingly clear that the businesses that prioritize sustainability are the ones that are going to, thrive in the long run.
I think that's a powerful message for businesses of all sizes.
Yeah.
But it's not just about individual companies changing their practices, right? It seems like we need collaboration
Right.
on a much larger scale to really create that circular economy.
You're absolutely right. One of the sources actually highlighted the importance of building those coalitions for change.
Okay.
No single entity, whether it's a business, a government, or a nonprofit, can do this alone.
Right.
We need those cross-sector partnerships
No,
to share that knowledge, the resources, and best practices.
it's about creating a movement, right? Like a collective force for change.
Exactly. And there are some inspiring examples of how this is already happening.
Okay.
For example, the Circular Economy European Network, brings together cities, regions, businesses, NGOs, all to share knowledge and accelerate that transition
Right.
to a circular economy in Europe.
That sounds like a powerful network.
It is.
I imagine it can be, challenging to coordinate so many different, stakeholders?
It definitely can be, but that's where organizations like the Ellen MacArthur Foundation,
Okay.
they play such a crucial role. They act as a global convener,
Right.
bringing together those businesses, policymakers, academics, innovators, to develop and scale those circular solutions.
So they're kind of like the glue that
Mm-hmm.
holds these collaborations together.
Exactly. They provide the framework, the resources, and the connections
Yeah.
to enable these cross-sector partnerships to really flourish.
I'm curious, are there any like specific case studies that really illustrate the power of these collaborations?
There are quite a few. One that stood out to me is the case of at the Dutch city of Venlo.
Okay.
They've been working with businesses, farmers, residents
Okay.
to create a circular food system.
A circular food system. Tell me more about that.
So they're doing things like using food waste from restaurants and supermarkets
Oh.
to produce biogas,
Right.
which then powers those same businesses. They're also supporting local farmers who are using regenerative agriculture practices
Right.
and creating, those short supply chains to reduce food miles.
That's incredible. It's like closing the loop on the entire food system.
It is, and it's creating all sorts of benefits, for the city.
Yeah.
From reducing greenhouse gas emissions
Yeah.
to creating new jobs and boosting the local economy.
That's such a powerful example
It is.
of how collaboration can lead to systemic change.
Yeah.
It's inspiring to see these ideas being, put into practice
Right.
and
Yeah.
creating, real world impact.
It really is, and it gives me hope
Yeah.
that we can create a future where waste is not seen as a problem to be disposed of,
Right.
but as a valuable resource to
Yeah.
be harnessed.
Okay. Before we we wrap things up, I want to go back to the individual level for a moment.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about businesses and collaborations,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm wondering what can the average person do to support this shift toward a circular economy?
That's a great question, and the answer is a lot.
Okay, give us some actionable steps.
Okay, well, first and foremost, educate yourself about the circular economy and those zero waste principles.
Right.
There are tons of resources available online, in libraries, through local organizations.
So knowledge is power, as they say.
It is. Once you understand the concepts, you can start making, more informed choices in your everyday life. Yeah.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Okay, so choose reusable products over disposable ones.
Okay.
Support businesses that are committed to sustainability.
Okay.
Reduce your food waste, compost your food scraps, repair your belongings instead of, throwing them away. Buy secondhand whenever possible,
Yeah.
and advocate for policy changes that support a circular economy.
Right. It's about those everyday choices, those small acts of mindful consumption
Mhm.
that collectively make a big difference.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of talking to your friends and family about these issues,
Yeah.
Spreading awareness and inspiring others to take action is one of the most impactful things you can do.
Right. So it's about voting with our wallets, voting with our habits, and
Yeah.
and using our voices to advocate for change.
Absolutely. We all have a role to play in creating a more sustainable future.
Okay, I'm feeling empowered. So let's pause here for a moment to let all that soak in.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground from personal actions to business innovations to global collaborations.
Right.
And in our final segment, we'll explore what the future holds
Okay.
for this exciting movement.
Yeah.
And leave you with some final thoughts to ponder.
All right.
All right, so we've explored those individual actions, those business innovations, the collaborative efforts.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm curious about the big picture.
Yeah.
What does the future hold for this whole circular economy movement?
Well, the sources paint a cautiously optimistic picture,
Okay.
It's clear that the momentum is building.
Yeah.
There's a growing awareness of the need for a more sustainable model, and we're seeing those exciting innovation or
Totally.
collaborations emerging all over the world.
That's encouraging. That's encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
But I imagine there are still challenges, right?
Absolutely. One of the biggest challenges is scaling up those solutions.
Yeah.
So they become the norm, not just, isolated examples.
Right. Well,
We need to move beyond those pilot projects and niche markets and create a truly systemic shift.
so how do we make that happen? What needs to change at a broader level?
Well, the sources point to a few key areas. One is policy.
Okay.
We need governments to create, the right incentives and regulations to support those circular businesses
Uh-huh.
and level the playing field with those traditional linear model.
Right, right. Because right now it often seems like the sustainable options are
Yeah,
also the more expensive options.
exactly. We need policies that internalize those environmental costs of production and consumption
Right.
so that those sustainable choices become the economically viable choices.
Yeah, yeah.
Things like carbon taxes,
Mhm.
extended producer responsibility schemes, and subsidies for those circular businesses
Okay.
can help drive that shift.
Makes sense. But policy changes can be, can be slow and complex.
Mm.
What about the role of technology? Can
Mhm.
can innovation help, accelerate that transition to a circular economy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Technology plays a crucial role in enabling circularity.
Okay.
For example, those advances in material science
Uh-huh.
are leading to new biodegradable and recyclable materials that
Okay.
can be used in products.
Right.
Digital platforms are connecting businesses and consumers to facilitate, the sharing, renting, and repairing of goods. And artificial intelligence is being used to optimize resource use and waste management.
Yeah, it sounds like technology can help us, close the loop in so many ways.
It can. And as these technologies, continue to develop and become more affordable, they have the potential to really transform the way we produce and consume goods and services.
Okay, so we have policy, technology,
Hmm.
and of course all those individual and collective actions we talked about.
Right.
Anything else that's critical for creating this circular future?
One thing that often gets overlooked is the need for a cultural shift.
Okay.
We need to move away from a culture of disposability
Right.
and embrace a culture of valuing durability, repair, and reuse.
It's about changing our mindset.
Right.
Moving away from that I want it now, I want it cheap, I want it new. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. We need to rediscover, the value of things that last. Things that can be repaired and passed down.
Yeah. Okay.
We need to shift our focus from owning things to experiencing things.
Right, right. It's about a more mindful and an intentional way of living.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing that our choices have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for the planet
Right.
and for future generations.
It sounds like a pretty big shift, but also an exciting one,
Yeah, yeah.
It's about redefining what it means to live a good life, fulfilling life.
It is, and I think that's what makes, this whole circular economy movement
Yeah.
so compelling. It's not just about reducing our environmental impact. It's
Right.
about creating a more just, equitable, and thriving society for everyone.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the one message, you want our listener to take away from all of this?
I'd say it's this. The future is circular, but it's not something that will just happen on its own.
Right.
It requires all of us, individuals, businesses, policymakers, communities,
Yeah.
to make those conscious choices, embrace innovation, and work together to create the world we want to see.
It's about recognizing that we all have a role to play,
Mm-hmm.
and that our actions, no matter how small they may seem, can collectively make a big difference.
Exactly. We have the knowledge, we have the tools, we have the creativity
Yeah.
to build a more sustainable
Well-
and regenerative future. Now it's time to put it all into action.
Well said. Well said. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Yeah.
And remember, the future is circular, and it's in our hands to create it.